This episode of MMA30 is dedicated to the women of MMA. On this episode, we'll hang out with Jenny Mir, the wife and manager of two-time UFC heavyweight champion Frank Mir. We'll also head to the fights with up-and-coming female fighter Jesamyn. Ring girl Stephanie Ann Cook will take the gun store challenge. UFC welterweight fighter Mike Pyle's wife Katrina Pyle will sit down with us for an exclusive interview. We'll tag along with Octagon girl Chandella Powell at a sexy photo shoot, and we'll sit down with the most popular woman in MMA, Arianny Celeste, the women of MMA, on this episode of MMA30. Two-time UFC heavyweight champion Frank Mir is a legend of the sport. His career continues to blow up as one of the biggest names in the UFC, but he couldn't do it alone. Meet his wife, the manager of his career, the mother of his children, and the woman that's running his household, Jenny Mir.
Every day is different, first of all. Today's Isabella's birthday party, so we're having probably about 20 people come today over at noon. Bella was supposed to have a soccer game today. That was canceled, so that actually is good. That gives me time to work on the birthday party.
Can I help, Mom?
I'm making breakfast right now.
No more eggs.
No more eggs? 3 kids are awake. Frank's not up yet. I mean, it's summertime right now, so it depends on who's awake. Actually, Laurel, Mom's gonna put you right here. The fights are tonight, so that puts it puts a damper on things right now. Because we've got birthday party and then get ready and then go to fights. If I know ahead of time things, my day runs smoother. When things get thrown in, and I have to try to make it all work, that's when I get stressed. There's always chaos. Like, that's why I said weekends are usually slower, less chaos, but always chaos. Sundays are family day no matter what. I don't schedule anything for Frank. There's nothing really for the kids. So Sunday is always a guaranteed family day. And after Frank fights, we take lots of vacation. And everything that we do, even as hectic as it is, we're always together. So it kind of, even in the chaos, it's always family time. Even my girlfriends, they joke with me all the time, like, oh, it must be nice. You know, you have a nanny and you don't have to work. No, it's not. Like this, even right here, is just fun. It's actually just trying to like manage everything together. That's the hard part because I have to be mother, housekeeper, accountant, coach, companion, best friend, therapist, when he loses, wife. Like it just goes on and on and on. You know, I'm his personal assistant, I'm his manager, and I don't really know which part is the hardest, Frank or the kids. Like him and his schedule and needs, or all 4 kids and their schedules and needs. Because he's like even to all 4. And then some. I've always worked my whole life until I was 6 months pregnant with Cage, Frank and our second. And I work harder now than I did then, without a doubt. Way harder. It's funny because when I first started dating Frank, it was 10 years ago, so the UFC wasn't what it is today. But still, he's told me, and I believe him. He said, you have the hardest job with the least amount of recognition. And it is so true.
They say behind every great man is an even better woman, and as Frank Mir will attest, that's definitely true with his wife, Jenny. Up next on MMA30, a girl whose mom wanted her to be a model. Instead, she chose to be an MMA fighter. Meet Jesamyn next on MMA30. This MMA30 segment is powered by bodybuilding.com, the #1 sports nutrition e-tailer. Get the latest products from Muscle Farm at bodybuilding.com. Her mom wanted her to be a model. Instead, she decided to become an MMA fighter. Hailing from Kentucky, meet up-and-coming amateur female fighter Jesamyn.
I actually got into mixed martial arts kind of by accident. It started out as a fitness thing for me, and I started out in kickboxing. After I did that for about 3 months, I watched the grappling class, and I just thought it was really neat. It really intrigued me. I'd never seen anything like that in my life. So I wanted to try it and got in there, and I just loved it, and it was fantastic. I'm competitive by nature. So next thing I knew, I was trying to do grappling tournaments. Shortly after that, I started doing Muay Thai fights. It was just kind of a natural progression to eventually step foot in the cage. I think fighting as an amateur is really difficult. It's hard to get your name out there. A lot of the smaller shows, they don't get much attention. So that's why I really do work really hard to get my name and my face and my image out there to people. But it's neat. You get a lot of local fans. You get a lot of local love. When you wrestle with guys, or you train with guys, or spar with guys, there is a definite difference in the way they train. It's lose-lose for the guys, and I know that. If they get tapped out by me, that's not good. You don't want to be the guy that got tapped out by the girl. And if you beat me up, then so what? Like, you beat up a girl, like, everybody's gonna kind of give you a hard time about that. My parents, in the beginning, were very nervous about me fighting. They were supportive of the grappling tournaments, because you're not punching each other. And when they were supportive of the Muay Thai fights, because you have the safety gear on. But when I started talking about wanting to do MMA, my mom really didn't like the idea of it very much. But I kind of sat down and had a talk about, you know, wanting to really get serious about it and wanted to really pursue it, you know, as a profession and take it seriously. I told her my coach he wouldn't get me a fight, he wouldn't put me in the cage until he knew that I was ready. After that, my mom came to my debut and she got to see me fight, and ever since then, my whole family has been just super fans. Black eyes and bumps and bruises are just kind of part of the nature of the sport. You do get people kind of giving you odd looks. The best was I had a small black eye from training when I was in college. And my English teacher actually pulled me aside after class and asked me if I needed to talk about something. And I told her that, oh, it's from working out. It's from working out. And she's like, you don't get black eyes from lifting weights. And I had to explain it away, and she still didn't believe me, but she let me go. It's just odd. But it's a fun story. It's fun to tell them what happened, you know? My biggest challenge so far has been to get the respect of my male counterparts. It takes longer to earn the respect of fans and training partners. They just don't instinctively give you the same respect as they do the guys. But I've found that it can be earned. Eventually they do really kind of come around and see that you train just as hard and you sweat and you bleed and you get in there and do it just like they do, just like the guys. I think that female mixed martial arts in itself is going to become a lot more popular. I feel like it's kind of just on the cusp of really breaking through and becoming mainstream. You know, they've started signing different women to fight, and they've already had some women fight on Strikeforce cards, and that's technically a Zuffa card, a UFC card. So already, in a sense, women are kind of fighting for the UFC. It's just in a different promotion underneath them. I absolutely see myself fighting in the UFC in the future. I think within the next 5 years, that's a definite possibility.
And Jesamyn Duke is now well on her way. On her latest excursion to Las Vegas, she picked up the Tough Enough belt to become the new ladies 145-pound champion.
So how does it feel to have that win?
That's the best feeling ever. There's nothing like it.
Up next on MMA30, ring girl Stephanie Ann Cook takes the gun store challenge. And later, UFC Octagon girl Arianny Celeste sits down with the MMA30 cameras. This MMA30 segment is powered by bodybuilding.com, the #1 sports nutrition retailer. Get the latest products from Muscle Farm at bodybuilding.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Stephanie Ann Cook here at the gun store with MMA30. I'm about to take the MMA30 gun challenge. I'm here supporting It Ain't Chemo, which is a nonprofit cancer company. And can you tell me what I'm gonna do right now?
Yep, we're doing the gun store challenge. So you'll have a Glock 19, you have 10 rounds, and we have the official gun store target. The X is 10. Outside of it, you have 9, 8, and 7 points. Anything outside 7 points is no value. So you get no, if you miss them all, you don't get any points. You're shooting a Glock 19, it's a semi-automatic 9mm. 9mm is a NATO round, it's what our military uses, and it's fairly small and easy. Most women prefer that round.
Alrighty.
All right, let me see that hand. Fingers on fingers, right thumb on top of left thumb.
Really?
Yep, nice and tight. Squeeze it. Arms out.
That's gonna hold it when I
Yep.
shoot it?
Positive. Now get a wide stance and lean forward at your hips real aggressively. Then now practice.
That's weird. Oh my god. I'm like sweating. This is so scary. Oh my god. Ugh. That's so scary.
That gun's like soaking wet.
Yeah, I'm
sweating.
sweating. That is so scary.
All right, let's see how you did.
All right, so I just shot and did the MMA30 gun challenge. I'm shaking, my hand is hurting, but I got an 84.
We have our Glock covered in sweat, but you got an 84, and considering your experience with some excellent instruction, you did pretty good.
I'm a killer.
What's it like being married to a UFC fighter? We find out in our one-on-one interview with Katrina Pyle. That's up next on MMA30. This MMA30 segment is powered by bodybuilding.com, the #1 sports nutrition e-tailer. Get the latest products from Muscle Farm at bodybuilding.com. What's it like being married to a UFC fighter? To find out, we headed to the house of UFC welterweight star Mike Pyle and met up with his wife Kat, and she told us all about both the highs and lows of being married to a top athlete. You are one of the women of mixed martial arts. You are the wife of Mike Pyle. The sport's changed a lot over the past couple of years. So let's talk about when you first met Mike and how things have changed for him and you over that course of time.
When I first met Mike, it was kind of fun for me because I met a fighter and he's hot and he's got a nice body, and I used to get drunk at his fights. So to me it wasn't a big deal, but once we started getting serious and he got into the UFC, we're starting a family, we're getting married, so things are a little more serious now, so it's different. I don't get drunk anymore.
Explain how you first met Mike.
I met him at a strip club.
Oh.
No, I met him at the nightclub that I worked at, Jet. So it was a bunch of guys came in, they ended up on my table. A friend of his got my number and invited me to a barbecue.
Is this friend another fighter?
I know, Nate.
Come on! That's so good. What if I guess? Will you tell me if I'm right?
Yes.
Jesamyn.
No!
Come on.
But I did have a crush on him.
So you had a crush on Jesamyn, but you didn't go there actually with Jesamyn, it was Martin Kamen.
No.
No?
You actually know him.
Oh, Joey Varner.
Yes.
Joey Varner got your number?
Yes.
MMA30's own Joey Varner invited you to the barbecue. And what happened?
And then I saw Mike and we started talking. On the way out, he mentioned how great my ass looked. I said, would you like to touch it? He said yes, and I said yes, and here we are married.
He said, you have a great ass, and you said, would you like to touch it?
I did. I don't know what got into me.
God, I wish I was Mike Pyle. That sort of thing doesn't happen to normal guys,
I don't know. It's never happened to me before. I would, slap a guy.
How did Joey handle all of that? Was he still thinking that you were there to hang out with him?
We never talked about it, so I don't know. Maybe we should.
We should bring Joey. Come on up, buddy. And then next thing you know, you're married.
Next thing I know, we're inseparable.
And who would have thought? I mean, you're originally from Russia. He's originally from Tennessee. You've been married to him for about a year and a half or so. Mm-hmm. He's walking into the cage. On a scale of 1 to 10 now, how nervous are you?
10.
Yeah? Still to this day?
Yes, that's why I take up yoga.
If you were to recommend, say, a younger sister or a good friend of yours, would you recommend being an MMA wife?
I had no one to talk to, and it was bad. Just have a friend that you can talk to, or talk to your husband.
So there's challenges, but overall, good thing?
Overall, good thing. You just have to find that communication.
Well, thank you for your time today.
You're welcome.
Coming up on MMA30, we tag along with UFC Octagon girl Chandella Powell as she does a sexy photo shoot in Las Vegas. This MMA30 segment is powered by bodybuilding.com, the #1 sports nutrition e-tailer. Get the latest products from Muscle Farm at bodybuilding.com. For our ongoing video series of top MMA ring girls recreating famous movie scenes, we link up with UFC Octagon girl Chandella Powell in Las Vegas.
Hey guys, this is Chandella Powell. Welcome to my photo shoot with MMA30. Today we're shooting a tribute to Indecent Proposal. That's the movie with Demi Moore where she gets paid $1 million to sleep with Robert Redford. Would I ever take an offer to sleep with someone for $1 million? It looks like Robert Redford. $1 million, Sean Connery. So kidding. There's no price. Priceless. I'm definitely not naturally used to playing a timid, vulnerable person, innocent, because that's definitely not me, but it's really cool to kind of act out in those parts. A little bit more in your face, and I'd say a strong personality. It's fun to kind of be that kind of gentle and a little submissive and innocent. Do I think any of the girls would take that nice $1 million offer? I'm not really sure, but to be honest with you, what woman really wouldn't? It takes a little bit of your dignity away, but you'll be rich after that, I guess. Being a woman in the UFC, I think it's really cool because you're like the minority in it. And the fans are really cool. A lot of them do some of the nicest things for you. It's so surreal, for me even to this day. I've been in the UFC for a year and a half now. once it started, I was like, this is absolutely amazing. Definitely a blessing to have this job and to have the best seats in the house. I'm telling you, it was like riding a bike. Once I was at the first fight and like getting to watch it live, I'm just completely hooked. And now, a year and a half later, I mean, between knowing every fighter's name, and I'm a pretty big fanatic now. My favorite thing with being with the UFC is definitely being a part of a family. And I mean, everybody with UFC is absolutely amazing. Pretty much you grow this relationship, and it's pretty awesome. No cons about being with the UFC, it's always a pro.
UFC Octagon girl Chandella Powell is so money. Coming up next on MMA30, we sit down with the most popular woman in mixed martial arts, UFC Octagon girl Arianny Celeste, for a one-on-one interview. This MMA30 segment is powered by Bodybuilding.com, the #1 sports nutrition e-tailer. Get the latest products from Muscle Farm at Bodybuilding.com. Now it's time for a one-on-one interview with the most popular woman in mixed martial arts, Arianny Celeste. We caught up with her at a recent UFC event and talked to her about what's next. Things have blown up for Arianny Celeste. And it's not just, oh, you're that UFC girl anymore. You've really taken this and grown it into your own thing. But let's take us back to before anyone knew who Arianny Celeste was.
I was going to college full-time at UNLV. I wanted to be a physical therapist, and then I did it for about a month, and I was like, it wasn't my thing. I wanted to deal more with athletes, so I went to fitness management, nutrition, which is obviously my passion.
You're like every guy's dream physical therapist. Like they want to get injured, you know? You changed your major, you went into something else, but how did that lead to modeling?
I got stopped by a photographer that wanted to take pictures of me, and he convinced my mom that I should be a model. I started doing very little because you can't do much in Vegas when you're young. So I waited till I was about 19, then I started doing modeling gigs here and there, and then I got the call for the casting for UFC.
How did the casting happen for you?
I just went in and I met with the executives. They had about like 35 girls there. We put on the outfits and they asked me if I knew what UFC was, and I was completely honest.
You didn't know at the time?
I didn't, like I knew, but I didn't watch it.
At what point did you really become a fan?
I'm a super fan now, just because, you know, seeing the guys and getting to know the guys. And not only that, but I've started like training Muay Thai and kickboxing and all that, so I know the dedication that it takes for the fighters.
You get the job, and what does it mean to you? Is it just another paycheck when it first starts out?
Yeah, I had no idea. This was just another paycheck to pay for my schooling, and now it's just taken over. It's amazing.
You're literally all over the world now.
Yeah.
Your favorite place that you've been so far?
Definitely Sydney. Going surfing, the people, the food, the weather, everything is beautiful.
Yeah, I remember the pictures from the beach.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure all the other guys do. Playboy was huge. The cover of Playboy. What was it like for you to realize that dream?
I knew I was gonna have pictorial, but they didn't tell me it was the cover. So once I found that out, I was like ecstatic. And my motto is like, go big or go home.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it right. So
Was
I
there
got
any
the cover.
apprehension
Yes.
for you? You get the cover and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna take all my clothes off in Playboy.
At first it was because I was concerned about like my family, what they would think, and I just had a heart-to-heart with my mom, and I said, I'm never gonna do anything that I won't be able to present to you, that I won't with pride. She took my word and she trusted me, and now I go home and she's like, will you sign this Playboy for blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, Mom, really?
That's a little weird,
That's
huh?
kind of embarrassing.
As this thing has grown, how have you been able to manage everything and decide what's right for Arianny Celeste and what's not?
I just go with my gut and my heart and my family.
This has been quite the whirlwind, and it's a long way from done. If there is one thing in your sights right now that you say, I want to accomplish this by the time it's all over, what is it?
A major film.
You say, you know what, eventually I'm going to outgrow this and I'm going to have to dedicate 100% of my time to it, or is it always going to be about keeping that balance?
I think it's always about keeping that balance. This is my home. The UFC has made me who I am, so I'm not going anywhere unless I have a major feature film somewhere, or
Unless you're like George Clooney's co-star or something.
The next Transformers girl, I mean,
Oh,
whatever.
that would be perfect. You
Something
thought
like
about that, didn't you?
Yeah.
You're like, come on, my
Bond
agent.
girl. I mean, the list goes on.
Arianny, Celeste, congratulations on everything that you've accomplished so far. Can't wait to see what's next for you.
Thank you.
This is what we do at Mike Pyle's house when he's out of town.
Ready?
Oh, yeah!
What's the strangest thing you've heard from fans?
Somebody yelled, Chandella, shake that booty. I was like, what?
And did you shake it?
No, I didn't shake it.
Let's do that dance.